broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I'm like,
pretty irreplaceable.
I'm not sure. It's a remix.
We got a mashup that wasn't supposed to be a mashup. That's all of a sudden just. Okay, was this our song?
Yes. Welcome to the Rich Kids of Beverly Hills After Show. You know, starting off on a high note there with the new remix. I don't even know what we're going to title that one. I guess we could call it Hot Mess, as Hayley mentioned there. I'm your host, Christina Kaplan. Aside from my beautiful co-host, Hayley, Clover, I also have a new host, Willie. This is his first show. Everyone, welcome him. Welcome him. Yes, so we'll tell the audience a little bit about why you love Rich Kids and why you wanted to join our show.
Well, where do I begin? I mean, the show is just, it's just one of those things, it's kind of a guilty pleasure, honestly. Like, the first episode, I wasn't sure what to think. Like, am I going to get into this? Am I going to really, what am I going to vibe off this? And honestly, I've been an addict since the first show. That's kind of addiction I guess you could have, right? That's
yes.
But yeah, I love the show. And probably growing up in Southern California, I mean, I understand it from a unique perspective. Not that that makes it better or worse, but just having, lived all around LA, I can kind of get some of the show, I guess, in a way that, I just can relate to it, but I also sometimes I'm like, are they really doing that? So it's kind of a love-hate for sure.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, let's dive right into it because we had a lot happen on. Oh, first of all, I just want to say happy 4th of July.
That's right.
America.
Yeah, I wasn't just wearing this. And also for Team USA Women's for winning the World Cup in grand fashion.
Oh, yeah.
We love that. But anyways, like I said, a lot of stuff happened in London.
Yeah.
First of all, and most importantly, the title of the episode is Loose in London, and yes, there was a lot of looseness happening.
Well, yeah.
But one person that did not make the London trip, which we kind of, I think, predicted last week, Hayley, that we knew that was going to happen, is Roxy.
Right.
And I mean, Will, were you surprised at all that Roxy didn't make it on this London trip?
You know what? Actually, watching the show, I part of me wants to say I was surprised, but another part of me thought, they've been friends, as she said, for 10 plus years, best friends, and that there would have been a chance that maybe she would have, changed her mind and said, bygones be bygones, I'm going, London, who wouldn't want to go there?
Right.
But, at the same time, I just think this fight for some reason with, in real estate with her boyfriend, Nick, Roxy's boyfriend, and with Brendan, obviously Morgan's, fiance, just got the best. And I think she's probably going through a volatile time, Roxy, perhaps with, moving out of her parents' house, and there might potentially be a lot of changing.
I think Morgan made a really good point that we haven't really heard before, was that Roxy is just so in love that it has some underlying issues that's not just Morgan. She is probably a little upset that she is attacking her boyfriend that she's in love with and really wants to be with, and that is hard, but it's clear that the group doesn't like Nick, her boyfriend. So I think there's probably a little bit more going on than just Morgan talking to Roxy, because Morgan is so honest all the time. It's you can't be that surprised at how she's talking to you. She's blunt. She's
straightforward, to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's just this whole thing has kind of been blown out of proportion a bit.
I agree.
Now, but I think Roxy is a little bit stubborn, so now she's at the point where it's I'm not gonna, be the bigger person and try to squash this. Morgan didn't try hard enough to want to be my friend. I think that might be her mentality. And then also, we can speak before. I mean, I'm sure it goes the other way for having a girlfriend, but when you're in love with a guy or you think you're in love with a guy, you're always going to choose their side, and you end up, putting your friends to the wayside sometimes.
Right.
So I think that's probably has a lot to do with the whole situation as well.
Yeah, I agree. To be honest, though, I can't believe that Roxy is, not going to get over it. What a wedding to miss.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Seriously.
That is one wedding that I would not be missing.
Exactly.
I feel like she had
gorgeous and, over the top. And
she has to be at the wedding. If she doesn't go to the wedding, that's just ridiculous to me.
It's sad timing.
Bad timing.
Like that. Morgan even said that she would have been the maid of honor.
Maid of honor, yeah. You're right.
And
2-3 weeks prior, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's tough. It's, I'll be like, that's one trip you don't want to miss, that wedding. And it's like, if she doesn't go, you kind of wonder.
Well, if she doesn't go to the wedding, there's they're not going to be friends.
They're not going to be friends. It's done.
I don't know how that would recover.
Yeah, I agree. But I think she will. We'll see.
No, I mean, as far as we know right now, they're still not speaking. So I'm not sure when Morgan's wedding is supposed to be, but
I want Morgan and Brendan to get in here so bad because we have so many questions to ask her.
That would be great.
I know.
And I just love her.
Yeah.
I have such a girl crush.
I know, she's amazing. So Roxy didn't go to London, but everyone else did, and they had a lot of fun. There were a lot of funny one-liners. Well, first of all, Morgan, showing Brendan her clothes that she got for London, and he's freaking out. She's like, please don't freak out. Please don't freak out. She's like, I feel like you just have to be suited and booted when you're in London. Pantsuits and so chic.
Well, even EJ was like, I have a lot of coats.
A lot of coats,
I'm bringing a lot of coats.
Yeah, it's so funny. I can't imagine what it would be like going from obviously having your parents' income to living with or moving in with your boyfriend or fiance who obviously makes good money, but
still they're young. He's not making the money he's gonna be making.
Right, and it's different. So I wonder
5 years, 10 years.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard for her, at least it seems like, to kind of curb her spending.
Like he's not in the peak of his career, and
I would like to know, I'm sure she's making a fairly good amount of money just from the show and now all of her periods. Her blog's definitely popular now, and her blog is funny. She's very funny.
Yeah.
So you never know. She might end up making her own money that she can then just spend on clothes, and then all of Brendan's money can be for the house.
Everything else.
Yeah, seriously. So, all right, while we were in London, even though Roxy wasn't there, Johnny stepped up and spoke kind of in her defense because he's spent a lot of time speaking with both of them, hearing both sides. How did you guys feel about Johnny kind of... He obviously told Morgan he would stay neutral, but in that first instance when he kind of spoke up and said, well, you don't know where she's coming from and blah, 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 did you agree with that? Did you think that was his place to do that, or do you think he should have just kept his mouth shut?
I would have to say in some ways it's tricky because remember how he was saying he was literally with each girl for about so many hours that he would be getting $20,000 or $50,000 in cash. He's under the table, so no taxes.
Right.
So
as a therapist,
right? So I think he's definitely known them for so long. Each of them. So he has his own perspective in their friendship and their relationship. But at the same time, it's tricky because you don't want to overimpose, but you don't want to underimpose. I mean, that's just kind of I guess how I would do it in my own life. But I'm thinking he's kind of on the fence. Maybe he's a little too prying, but I think he's just trying to do it with best interest in mind.
Well, to me, Johnny was totally on Roxy's side. I thought that, at least to me, I thought that was clear that he was defending Roxy. And from watching, I would think that Johnny and Roxy were closer than Johnny and Morgan.
Yeah.
Not that means, one way or the other, but he was definitely defending Roxy in that moment.
Oh, yeah. Especially in this episode, absolutely.
Sure.
He was Team Roxy.
And I can understand why Morgan was a little pissed because it's her engagement weekend. And Johnny, even when they first walked in, he was like, I miss Roxy. I wish she was here. It's like, we get it. Don't keep...
Yeah. Don't oversaturate it.
Horse. She's not here. She's already upset about it.
And I know he didn't do it with malicious intentions.
No,
it was just
He's so nice.
Like you said, he and Roxy are better friends than he and Morgan. Not to say that he and Morgan aren't good friends, but we know Johnny is really close with Roxy. So I'm sure it was hard for him as well to hear, I don't know. Like I said before, I think the whole situation's blown out of proportion. I don't really know. I don't know. I think it's just they need to just get over it and move on. But I think neither one. I mean, Morgan seems a little bit more willing to squash it and move on.
Yeah.
I think Roxy's the one that's holding on to it a little bit. And
and I think that's another reason why Johnny may be defending Roxy, because he realizes that Morgan can end up being the bigger person, whereas Roxy is very stubborn.
Yeah.
And maybe that's his way of trying to just get them to squash this whole thing and then move on and just like get over it, because
It's like, next.
like don't
swipe
be
left,
ruining
swipe right.
like don't be ruining this time
Yeah.
for stupid reason.
Yeah.
Like Brendan's over it. He was the one involved. Like everyone else,
Right.
get your crap together. Like let's just
Ready. He's ready for that next $38 million house.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Exactly.
that's what I'm
Exactly.
saying. Like, if anyone should still be upset at anyone, it's between Brendan and Nick. It has nothing to do with the girls. But now that, you know, Morgan called her out, Roxy feels like, oh, you know, you shouldn't have talked to me like that.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know.
Yeah, they're not even fighting about the house anymore.
Exactly. The house is gone. It's in the rearview
It's just
mirror.
whatever.
No, and how about, okay, so on to lighter notes.
Yeah.
How about the hats they were trying on?
I love hats.
Yeah.
I love hats. I try hats on everywhere I go, but I have like a pea head, so hats do not fit my head at all. Seriously, baseball hats, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But I love hats.
Yeah.
I would love to go to London and wear a hat to a wedding
I know.
and just be so proper and.
Step up your hat game.
I need
or something
to.
like that, right?
Yeah,
We
I-
all could.
Yeah.
I went to the Kentucky Derby a couple years ago, so I
you
got
had to have a
to
good hat.
buy some hats.
my
What
God.
did you
So
get?
I got like a black and white one that was like striped around the brim,
Was
and
it
it
big?
had, yeah, of course, they have to be big.
Yeah.
And then I got a hot pink one because on Friday at the Kentucky Derby is what is it called? I forget what the Friday race is called, but that's when everyone wears pink for breast cancer.
awesome.
So I tried to, you know, coordinate my hat with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really fun. I loved all the hat. I mean, the ice cream hat was a little outrageous.
How about Dorothy's comment when she said I look extremely
Japanese.
Japanese?
I know. And we were all like, wait, isn't she Chinese?
Right?
Not sure if that's supposed to be a jab or
Right?
what.
Maybe it's
know.
because of the only thing I could think of was like Japanese anime. They
Yeah.
have all those like
Oh, yeah.
characters
All the
and
characters,
stuff.
all
So
the
I thought she thought she was like
costumes, the
very
hats,
Japanese. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
that's-
my only thought.
that was funny. And then, you know, I didn't realize that it was actually part of their etiquette to wear a hat to a wedding, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, what if you're indoors and you're just wearing like this giant hat? I feel like it's like a
If you
summer
notice, though,
outdoor
some of them
kind
are,
of,
like their hats are like headbands.
Yeah.
A lot of them are like decorative.
just a little piece. Yeah.
A statement
like
piece.
EJ's, the
Yeah.
black one that had
Yeah.
like the little mesh, and he was so funny. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna wear this to church."
Yeah.
Like, it was
I know.
funny.
That was funny.
funny.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't really go too long without drama naturally.
Yeah,
You know?
it wouldn't be the show. It would be
Yeah,
be
no,
watching
we wouldn't
something
wanna
else.
watch,
Exactly.
except-
You'd be
Yeah.
like tuning away. What else is on?
True. So, Taylor, I mean, Bobby finally showed up on this trip, and naturally there was drama with Bobby because there's always drama with Bobby. They're at dinner.
What's new, right?
Yeah, they're at dinner, and Johnny, you know, speaks up for Taylor, which I half agree with him and half don't. Only because I do agree that Taylor probably has confided in him and said those things. And we know Taylor well enough now that we know she would never come out and say that to someone's face, to Bobby's face.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though she was feeling that. So I know Johnny was trying to help her, but I think he also doesn't really like him, so...
It was an easy target.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so it
an
wasn't.
easy moment
Yeah, you
for
didn't
him
have to be provoked too much. But I know, Hayley, you had different feelings about the whole situation.
Well, I actually was surprised that EJ spoke out like that because I know EJ doesn't like.
You mean
Bobby.
Johnny?
No.
Oh,
EJ,
that.
So
Oh,
EJ was
in the
saying,
confessional, yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
even at the table, EJ was saying.
Oh, with the wine tasting.
Do not, like, you should not be calling him out. This is between
Yeah.
Taylor and Bobby. This is not your issue. And I was just saying I was surprised because EJ clearly doesn't like Bobby. Like, he said, I don't know what I think about him except for he's like a disgusting human being. You know,
Yeah.
like, he does not like Bobby.
Yeah.
But I totally agreed with him. Like, Johnny didn't need to bring it up in that way either, like at a dinner. And I know he told us in person that they're not together a lot, so when all of this big stuff happens at dinner, it's because that's the only time that they're together.
The
in a
whole
group.
group,
Exactly.
yeah.
So I get that, but it's still not the time. Like, this was a happy trip and
Exactly.
whatever, and it
Something
totally
engagement.
just turned it. And to be honest, if Taylor can't talk about it herself with her boyfriend, then that's her problem.
Yeah.
Like, she needs to grow a set and be able to talk to Bobby. Yeah. And I kind of felt bad for him in that situation. You know, he handled it correctly and just walked away.
Yeah.
So I was actually surprised with that, but I didn't think Johnny needed to say it.
Yeah. What did you think, Will?
You know, it was, I honestly thought the relationship was done before it started. I mean, I really didn't think it was the right fit for either one of them. I mean, you want to believe in people. You want to say, oh, I think this is, the right person. But then you see the red flags. It's kind of like, not to digress, but I went on a date with someone once at a Starbucks. And I don't know if I should say names. I'm just kidding. But she literally told me the first date. She was from Pennsylvania. She just moved to L.A. about, a year or two ago. And she said literally that she had psychological problems in the past on the first date, that she had issues with.
She still had him.
She still had him. I was like, all right, exit stage left. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
But it kind of seemed like from the beginning that I could be wrong. Maybe I'm reading things, but it just seemed like Bobby had a little bit of an agenda. Maybe he was looking for love with Taylor, but the Hoff is the Hoff.
Yeah.
I mean, her dad is Mr. Baywatch, Mr. Knight Rider, Mr. Everything. So it almost seemed like that they were kind of going in it for the wrong reason. She was looking for love, and that he was just looking for perhaps that connection, or maybe not.
No, I mean, I definitely can see why you say that, and I do agree with that. It's hard sometimes to know what to think, too, because we don't know how they're editing all of this.
Yeah.
True.
Like, they could literally have had so many amazing dates and so many times together before he ever met David Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
But the only thing we're seeing is that they meet, like, one day, they're together in the Bahamas, and then all of a sudden he's meeting her dad, which clearly wasn't the correct timeline.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, the Amazing Nice fluff isn't going to sell, obviously, as we all know. We would turn away.
The only reason why I do think that it still was a little weird is because Johnny came here in person and was like, like, he's a user.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't sugarcoating anything, so that's the only reason I could think that he, is how he seems on TV.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought it was a little weird, just like Taylor was uncomfortable with him bringing up business at dinner. And then,
And that was weird.
when he's like, Dorothy, I really want you to be the face of Blind Dragon, because it's like an Asian-themed place. And I was like,
Wow.
okay,
I don't give a
it was just blatantly like so racist.
Yeah, really.
Sorry, but and then he was like, I really liked your Instagram photos, so I want you to be the face of Blind Dragon. And I was just, oh my god.
Yeah, and I don't think she needs to. I mean, we saw she has like 30 or 40 Birkin bags. She's good.
Exactly. No,
Yeah,
she does. I don't think anyone really likes Bobby enough to actually help him
to be a part of
with
his
something
business.
like that. But I thought that was kind of weird. And then, I mean, if you didn't want any drama to start, why were you talking about, Taylor's dad's hooking me up with this and this in front of all these people? I mean, that was just...
I don't know whether that's
what
his
was the
way
point
of
him bringing
bragging
it up?
or to try to, like... Because they're all so rich, like, that's his way of being like, I have all these businesses, like, I'm going to be making this
His
money.
humble
Like,
brag.
like, I do fit in with this group of people. It just didn't work like that.
Yeah, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
We
know.
should get Bobby on just so he can tell his side of the story.
Yeah, that's because that's the other thing.
We talk, and I'm the first one to say that I talk so much crap about Bobby on this show, and it's just because of what I've seen and my opinions on him from what we've watched.
Yeah.
But who knows? Like, there's so many times where you meet people and your first impression is like completely wrong.
Yeah,
completely
definitely.
wrong. And even when Bobby was talking to Taylor, and he was saying, I don't show my emotions to people, and I don't talk about my emotions, that
Very
doesn't
guarded.
make for a good reality show. Because if you're not giving of yourself and you're not telling everything that you're thinking, like Morgan or like Dorothy, people can't know who you are. So immediately the judgment's like, oh, well, this guy's a douche, or this guy's whatever, because he's not giving us anything to like.
Yeah.
Right, and we don't know, like you said, we don't know how they edit it. So for all we know, they're editing it in a certain way to make him look like the bad guy. So I was actually thinking about that the other day. I was like, I pretty much tell the whole world that I don't like him and I don't think he's a nice person, but I've never met him. All I know is from the show, and like, obviously we love Johnny. He's the sweetest guy ever. But in season 2, they completely kind of painted him in a different way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we find out when he comes here that he had all this other stuff going on in his personal life behind the scenes that, made him have these outbursts and stuff. But the way that the show made it look was like he was just freaking out for no reason.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be interesting to have Bobby. I mean, he does follow both Hayley and I on Twitter, so maybe.
But we
Come on
still
down.
can't figure out whether that's the real one.
Yeah.
I'm like very confused if that's the real Twitter because it seems like it is. Everything is like linked to his real accounts and stuff. But he has 300 followers or
What?
something?
Maybe
like that? That
he
makes no
just
sense.
started his Twitter, but then he followed you a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but think about it.
Yeah.
Caitlyn Jenner started an Instagram the day she
Like a
was
million,
a woman
2,
and she
3
has
million.
3 million
Yeah,
followers.
instantly. That's right. Yeah.
He would definitely have more, I think. Or the rest of the world agrees with us and they think he's a douche.
Dude,
Yeah.
You're certified.
Yeah, I don't know. It was funny though. I went to Shore Bar in Santa Monica a couple weeks ago for this VOOV event, and it's an H-Wood group, which is Blind Dragon. And so I posted a picture of my friend and I from the event on my Instagram, and I got likes from H-Wood group, Blind Dragon, Bootsy Bellows, a nice guy.
So it probably is him.
literally
The whole group
every
was there.
single H-Wood account liked my picture. I was like, thanks for the likes, that's great.
Wow.
But it was it was funny. But
He's following you, girl.
yeah, I don't know. Bobby, I think, he's wants to know more about us.
Wants to
for
know
some
more. He's a
reason.
chameleon. He's just hiding in the background, and
So
then he just pops
mysterious.
out.
I don't know. But so okay, we had girls trip and a boys trip wasn't completely a girls trip because EJ joined,
That's
but
right,
he
that's right. Yeah.
he is the girliest of the boys. So
Right? When he
Love
walked
it.
in, they said, "Here comes the queen." When he walked
Yeah.
in the door, like, ta-da!
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh my God, wait, sorry. I have to say this before we move on. Brendan was cracking me up and he was like, you sound like you're from London.
Yes. and Morgan's like, say it 2 more times, Brendan, and then
That's
you're
right.
done.
He's like, okay, I'm saving them. And he does one right away.
Right
And then after EJ says something else, he says it again. And Morgan's like, okay, that's it. You're
Yeah.
done. Oh my God. It's
So funny.
I love them.
And then when they were talking about the haggis, and he's like, clean up your haggis. Laughs. He's like such a little nerd. I love it.
I don't know why my brother and I have this, it was Lizzie McGuire, I think, this old episode, and someone says something like, who wants some haggis? And we still laugh about it to this day, but I know haggis is lamb stomach. Just in case anyone was wondering what haggis is. I'm pretty
Does
sure.
not sound very good to me.
Don't pass.
Yeah.
I'm pretty adventurous with food, but lamb stomach. I was watching Diners, Drive-Ins, and
I have to
Dives
make sure
earlier
that's
today,
right. Yeah.
and
I love that show.
they were. Oh, what was he making? Something, but it was the small intestine of the pig.
Right.
That soup. Maybe tripe? Is that what it is?
Right.
Oh, I'm
Sounds kinda
totally wrong.
familiar.
I'm so sorry. I'm wrong, but I'm
uh-oh.
close. It's a sheep's insides.
Okay, close enough.
The heart, liver, and the lungs mixed together as
Lungs?
haggis
Oh. Heart, liver, lung combo.
of a sheep.
Of a sheep.
That's kind of gross.
No.
But
Okay, so I'm sorry. Continue
No, that's
on.
okay.
Girls trip,
Girls
boys
trip,
trip.
boys
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. The girls went to Paris, obviously, which is so fitting.
Yeah.
And it was just so completely different from the boys' trip, which was obvious, that it was going to be like that.
Yeah.
But it almost seemed like Johnny was kind of spearheading the boys' trip, which was unexpected.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. Seriously.
But yeah, the girls went to Paris, like I said. The selfie, trying to get the selfie was hilarious.
The Eiffel Tower. And
I
get 'em
can
all
relate.
fitted.
I can relate because I try to take 20 selfies
Yeah.
to
You
find
do.
the right angle. I know you can
right- You
do.
confirm that.
I remember Dorothy was you trying to get the right lighting, and she's like, "Oh, or maybe was it Morgan? Oh, EJ, duh, he's the tallest. He has the longest
Yeah.
arms." And then
Right.
he tried, and they got
Well, the
eventually
best
they got the
line
shot.
was when Dorothy was like, just find a couple of Asian tourists because they've found the spot, they've done the lighting, they've found the wind, whatever. They've mapped everything out. Just find a couple tourists, and that's the best spot for it.
Yeah, she's like, they did the geometry.
Yeah, exactly. That was the word I was looking for.
So funny.
They got the coordinates.
I know, she's great. She's hilarious. I love Dorothy. She was kind of quiet, I feel like, in the beginning of the season, but she's really her her personality, where we got to know her in the first season, has started to come out again. Because her one-liners are so funny. Yeah. And she's so serious about some of the things, and it's just hilarious.
I totally agree.
You know?
She's invested for sure.
Like the whole buffet, buffet thing was hilarious. Like, you don't want everything touching, and God forbid you have fresh fish, and everyone goes for those king crab legs. Like,
I hate a buffet at a wedding. Let me just throw that out there as well. I completely agree. Yeah. It's just so cheap.
It is, and it's just.
And I know people have to save money on weddings, but I'm just not about the buffet. Sorry.
Sorry, hometown buffet. It's just, or anyone else. It's
Save that for the Golden Corral.
Yeah.
Which I will say, I've enjoyed a Golden Corral in my lifetime.
I've actually never been there.
Oh, they do cotton candy and chocolate fountains now for dessert.
Interesting.
Not that California has a Golden Corral anywhere.
I used to know. I used to go to Sizzler all the time as a kid, because there was one by my high school. But
and no to the buffets.
No, and I always end up, just like they said, coming back with like 5 plates of stuff because I can't decide what I want, and I get everything.
Oh, it's such a waste of food. No one ever eats what they put on their plate.
Well, not no one. There's some giant human beings that will eat it all.
One of my good friends, who I will not be saying his name, but yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes. And Morgan,
how about a giant human being? Morgan was talking about how she was obese.
Yes, she gained 30 pounds. 30 pounds in 2007, which
in like 6 weeks or something.
She said she was like running into people because she was just so huge. She was like, I'm wondering why I'm single, and it's because I'm obese.
I can't imagine. I mean, I feel like 30 pounds on her, she'd probably still look normal.
Yeah.
But that was funny, and she's got, the hashtag shedding for the wedding.
Yes.
Which I don't really know what else she's going to shed, because she's like 100 pounds.
Great body.
Yeah.
And huge boobs.
And a nice behind.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You noticed?
Just putting it out there.
All right.
The all-encompassing body.
All-encompassing.
All of it.
Which her mom, if any of you were watching her, looking at her Instagram this weekend, it was really funny because she kept posting pictures of herself in a bikini, and then she posted an Instagram screenshot of her text with her mom. And it was like, Morgan, stop putting all these bathing suit pictures up on Instagram. Like, you look so desperate, or whatever it was. And she was like, okay, Susan. Like,
she's like, how about a photo with your dogs or your fiance?
Right. And so she posted one today that was her in a bathing suit, but with Brendan. And she was like, and the fiance, ...
Yeah, I know, it's so funny. I love, that's the kind of stuff that like makes me love her so much, because she just shares stuff that normal people probably wouldn't put up there.
Exactly, it's all out there. It's an open book.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
But, all right, so the boys' trip was much different than the girls' trip. Started out with speedboat, but wasn't really a speedboat.
Like in the slow lane. It was in like when you first got on the freeway, it was in just creeping along.
Yeah.
They just never stopped merging.
They never stopped merging.
Yeah. And Brendan's like, I was imagining myself, holding on trying not to spill my martini.
With my new hair. With
my sniper following him or
my new locks whipping in the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. And then they end up, doing the beer tasting, which is very manly, and then they go to a strip club.
No invite from me. I don't know why. I'm gonna have to let them know.
To the strip club?
To the strip club.
Yeah.
I mean,
you would have had to been in London
that's
first.
True.
So.
No invite to London.
No invite. Sorry. Hashtag no invite.
That's a double invite you needed there.
That's true.
But
it's a certain club, like a membership. You gotta just swipe that.
Right, the rich kids.
The black card.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yes. But so, what are your feelings on strip clubs, Hayley? I know you've said that you've been to one with your boyfriend, so obviously you like them. I'm assuming.
I went to school at West Virginia University, and that's where I met my boyfriend. And there was one night where we had some friends that had graduated the years prior, like 2 years prior, and they came back to visit. And so everyone, of course, got way too intoxicated and whatever. And somebody said, let's go get food. And then someone else in our group was like, let's go to the strip club. And everyone was like, wow, that's the best idea you've ever had. And we were all just so drunk. So we went. Oh my God, it was so ratchet. That was you feel so bad too, because it's all college girls stripping. Like, it's awful. You know what I mean? And we were there probably a total of like not even 20 minutes, and then everyone was like, well, it was a better idea like when we decided, like before, and now we're here, and we're like, but I don't care about strip clubs. Like, it
Did
doesn't
you
bother me.
recognize any of the girls there?
I didn't, thank God. Could you imagine? I go and like one of my sorority sisters was like dancing on the pole, and I'd have to be like, okay.
Yeah, pledging for something else at that point. Yeah.
Exactly, an STD. No, so yeah, I don't care about strip clubs, and I know my brother.
That'd be awkward.
That's a different story. My boyfriend was in a fraternity, and when they did their Big Brother nights or whatever, as like a gift in their pledging, they always had strippers come.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. Like, they're strippers.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what they do, and it's a fun night. I just saw male strippers in Vegas for a bachelorette party, and I promise you, it was a half an hour too long. That's an hour too long.
You're like, all right, I've seen enough.
It is what it is. I could.
Wasn't quite like Magic Mike, no Channing Tatum.
See, that would be different. If Channing Tatum was like naked in front of me dancing, I'd go to that strip club all the time.
Definitely. I mean, who wouldn't?
I would pay for that lap dance for sure.
Could be the stand-in for Jenna Tatum.
Yes.
Can't say her name. Blah.
Jenna Dewan.
Jenna Dewan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will,
so
what's
hot.
your feelings on strip clubs?
Well,
I'm sure as a guy, you must like them, right?
You know, it's funny because I think you see this hype as a kid and as a teenager. You're like, ooh, I can't wait till I become 18 or I get to sneak in or I get a fake ID and I can do all these things. And so I was like counting the days once upon a time when I was like 13. I'm like, oh, maybe a few more years. When can I? And the fact that I look like I'm probably, you know, a little kid still. I mean, some people say, you know, so it's like a part of me they would always double check the ID and look at it. And so, of course, I've been to probably 2 in my whole life, maybe, you know, and it honestly wasn't what it is on what you see in the movies or TV. Like, it's just, that's so glorified. Not that I didn't have a great time, of course, it was to a certain time, but after a while I was like, is it 3, 4 a.m.? What time is it now? And it just eventually just, you know, once you've seen one, you've seen them all for the most part.
That's very true. And I feel like Brendan's reaction was probably a majority of the reactions. Like, most people aren't going to the strip club on a regular basis.
Exactly.
And he, you know, in the back of his head still felt bad for Morgan. Probably felt awkward because he was on camera.
Yeah.
But it is kind of awkward. It's these just random people with their tits all in your face. And you're like, okay, tits. But then you're like,
Yeah.
And
Morgan's body is like, let me just reiterate this again. He doesn't need a stripper because Morgan has giant stripper titties, but they're real and they're, you know.
Did you hear that, Morgan? Hayley thinks you have giant stripper titties.
But like real, they're good.
But that's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I would like her giant real stripper titties.
Me too.
I think I just really want to say stripper titties.
Stripper titties.
How many more times?
It's the new hashtag.
I'm like, Brendan, do you get 2 more times?
2 more.
I'm going to save one. Stripper titties.
All right, one more, Hayley, and that's it.
Predictions.
You're not going to know when it's coming.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been to a strip club, nor have I ever wanted to.
Oh, we have so many things to do. We have acro. What are they?
The little from the last
exercising
episode.
things.
What
is that? What is that called? Aerial,
like
whatever.
the floating with the
We'll have
fabric.
to take you to a strip club.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has to be like a classy one, though.
I'm sorry. I know people hate some people hate when we talk about random shit, but excuse my language. But there is a strip club down the street from where I live in LA, and it's called Plan B, and it makes me so mad.
Wait, I've driven past that before.
It's on Pico. If anyone's in here, it's called Plan B, and I get so upset every time I drive by because I'm like, that is awful.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just awful.
That's the only.
There's one thing to like be at the strip club, and then one thing to like
actually though
insinuate that. And I'm like,
Plan B has not the oral contraceptive if you forget to.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The morning after pill. I don't think that's been around that long. So maybe that strip club had their name. I don't know. I'm just wondering.
You know the history of that strip club?
I'm just saying.
The power of Google.
Maybe they named it that. Maybe. If I used to work there, I would be a rich kid of Beverly Hills, girl. I'd be twerking it and making that top dollar.
We call Plan Paper, not Plan B, Plan.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyways, what I was trying to say was that I think that maybe that was put into place before the Plan B one step came out.
One step, yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a low blow. Like, it's just effed up. I'm sorry.
Or like, this is my Plan B, not Plan A. Plan B.
I know.
Plan A didn't work. Plan B, we go to the strip club. But
I get what they were. Yeah.
Let me, no one thinks that looking at that sign. Like, I'm sorry, but no one is thinking that.
And then down the street, it's skin. No giveaways there. Nothing for the imagination.
Yeah, I mean, that's not creative at all.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Oh my gosh.
There was I drove by, or I was in a parking lot, actually. I was going to the gym, and there was just a car, that's like the ones that have, the billboards on the back on the truck or whatever. And it was whatever strip club, and it's like serving lunch specials Monday through Friday from 1 to, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to go there for the lunch special. Like, wonder what it is. Too, I've been told. Oh, stripper that's titties. Just gross.
Yeah. On the buffet. It's on the menu.
Stripper titty chicken nuggets.
So, hey. You gotta find the right dipping
chicken
sauce.
Breasts.
Do you do barbecue or honey, or what do you do at that point? Oh
okay. Yeah, we know they don't like to hear when we talk about ourselves.
Right.
Sorry.
And then Sachi, remember Sachi at the strip club? He just couldn't get enough of him and his Snapchat and his iPhone. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
he was like,
I agree with Morgan in that, no matter what, he shouldn't have put that on his Snapchat because, although it was on the show, so it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He
was just sitting back kind of, get it.
And Morgan said something about her mom, too. Susan's on, social media, and she would be embarrassed if she saw that, and that I can understand. But, I feel like it's so innocent now. Yeah. It doesn't bother me. It just doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but it bothers a lot of people.
For sure. That's true.
That's where I think she was coming from with the whole, you don't know what potential client could be looking at that.
That I understand because some people do look at that kind of stuff and take it either totally out of context or whatever. And
they're one extreme or the other.
Now I'm sure a rumor started. Oh, he's cheating on Morgan with strippers and blah.
Or they could see him as irresponsible or something, which you don't want your someone you're doing business with to be irresponsible. So I got that, but obviously it was on the show. So. Yeah.
Especially if it's a $38 million house, and the commission is what, like $1 million, seven figures.
And then in that case, it has its own stripper pole.
Built in. Yeah, definitely. Probably on the roof, or maybe not, or the basement.
So the big finale, pretty much, of this episode was Bobby and Taylor breaking up.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was proud of her for doing that because I didn't think she was going to. I thought she was just going to be like, oh, I'm really sorry for that, and it's not true, and let's just move on. So I was proud of her.
Yeah, but his reaction.
His reaction was the worst.
All right.
I know, all right.
You could have at least faked it and been like, really? You really want to do this?
I'm really sorry that this didn't work out.
Yeah.
Ask for the crying stick at that point from the who was on the side, or just something and then just
eye drops,
or just something just to show that because they were together. I would imagine for what a few months,
at least 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah. Kind of trying to go over the timeline. Yeah.
There, it wasn't 6 minutes. It wasn't 6 hours. It was a decent period of time, and so there was some type of investment there. And it's I wasn't surprised, but still, his reaction, I agree. It was there's nothing there.
And I know he says he doesn't talk about his emotions, so maybe that makes him feel awkward on the show. But Bobby, if you want to be on the show, you have to talk about your emotions.
Exactly.
So,
welcome to reality TV.
Right, my mom tweeted me, I told you this, and she was like, oh my God, Bobby's reaction to their breakup. Like, what? No reaction at all.
And I don't blame Taylor. I totally would have cried too. If you were completely over that relationship, it still would hurt to see the other person not care at all either.
Exactly.
It's just the weirdest feeling to have somebody in your life, even if it's a couple months and it's somebody you really do care for, whether it's because you love them or as a friendship, and then they're just gone all of a sudden, or you don't expect them to be in your life anymore. It's the weirdest feeling.
Yeah.
Like no attachment, no investment, no nothing. It's just they're invisible.
Yeah,
nothing
it's just
even
weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, so I wonder how much actually, let's get into our predictions, shall we?
Are you ready for the lights?
Ready for the lights.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Stripper titties.
So, sorry. You're fine. So what I was going to say is I wonder how much Bobby's going to be in the next episode, but we already saw in the previews that he shows up to some event or party and Taylor kind of freaks out about that. Mm-hmm. What else are you guys predicting in next week's episode?
Go for it, Will.
Thanks. No, I really do think deep down that there are brighter days ahead for Morgan and, Rox's relationship. I really do believe that they're gonna make amends. They're gonna make up. Something's gonna happen somehow, some way. I mean, 10 years, your best friend, that's a long time.
Right.
You know, like I had my best friend of 15 years, and you know, sure there's differences and arguments, but at the end of the day, it's like, even I think in a previous episode, Morgan was saying something to the effect that, you know, this shouldn't even be something that's such a roadblock or a hurdle or, you know, a
because
detour.
they're like sisters.
Because they're like sisters. And when you have someone who's, you know, like a brother or like a sister, you have that rapport with them. And I really do feel like there are brighter days ahead for them. And of course, you know, I personally am hoping, because they're two of my favorites, to be honest, on the show. So we'll see.
Hayley.
Good prediction.
Thanks.
I don't know what my prediction is this week. They didn't give us much in the scenes for next week.
Yeah.
Bobby and Taylor, I was a little surprised with Taylor's reaction.
Yeah.
Like, he's here.
Yeah.
Because I know that she was the one that ended it, and maybe it's a little awkward now, but she did say, I really would like to still be friends with you, and now she's like, oh my god, my ex is here. So I actually don't know what's going to happen. My prediction is that I have no idea what's happening next week.
Yeah, I think that her reaction was a little over the top, but I think maybe, well, in natural Bobby fashion, I just feel like there's going to be some sort of drama or issue that's going to happen with him being there.
I don't know why, but maybe this is my prediction. I don't feel like he was invited to wherever he showed up to.
Yeah, that's what it looked like, at least, the way that it was
I feel like
presented.
he's crashing this party.
Yeah, that could be
Party
That's my
crash.
prediction.
that could be very true. I wonder, we didn't even find, or they didn't even hint at whose party it was or what.
Nothing. They just were there all of a sudden.
So it'll be interesting to see. But anyways, Will, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, you guys can find me anytime, 24/7, on Instagram at William_, ironically enough, Beverly Hills, William_ Beverly Hills, and on Twitter at William Lee TV.
Nice. And then you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Hayley Clover.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Tina Cap, and we will see you next week. Hopefully with a guest.
Yes,
we'll
please.
see.
We're still trying.
We try, you guys. We try. I promise.
We don't bite. We promise. We don't have cooties here. We're cootie free. Cootie free.
See you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.